The Arctic. Long considered a remote, frozen wasteland, it is now the world's most contested frontier. Welcome, I'm your host. Today, we explore a silent crisis, the encroachment of Chinese research vessels in Canada's Arctic. For Canada, sovereignty over these northern waters is not just about territory, it's about national security and environmental control. But a new player has arrived. China, a nation thousands of miles away, now calls itself a near-Arctic state. They aren't coming with warships, not yet. They are coming with research vessels. But the line between science and surveillance is blurring. To understand the stakes, we must look at the history of Arctic exceptionalism, the idea that the North was safe from global conflict. The UN Convention on the Law of the Sea established rules for maritime borders, but melting ice is rewriting the playbook. As the ice disappears, the Northwest Passage becomes a viable shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. China's Polar Silk Road is a multi-billion-dollar plan to dominate these new trade routes. Officially, ships like the Xuelong 2 are here to study climate change and oceanography. But experts warn these vessels are dual use. The same sonar that maps the seabed for science can also map it for submarines. In the summer of 2025 alone, Chinese vessels conducted nearly 4 dozen manned submersible dives in sensitive areas. The Canadian Coast Guard has been forced to shadow these intruders, a high-stakes game of maritime cat and mouse. The Royal Canadian Air Force has also deployed CP-140 Aurora aircraft to keep an eye on these researchers from above. These patrols are critical, but they highlight how thin Canada's Arctic defenses truly are. Perhaps more concerning is the deepening no-limits partnership between China and Russia. In 2024, Chinese and Russian bombers were intercepted flying together off the coast of Alaska for the first time in history. This military cooperation is a game-changer. Russia is opening its Arctic doors to Chinese ambition in exchange for support elsewhere. Canada's claim that the Northwest Passage is internal waters is even disputed by its closest ally, the United States. If the world begins to treat this as an international strait, Canada loses its right to control who passes through and how. Beneath the melting ice lies a fortune in oil, gas, and rare earth minerals, the fuel of the 21st century economy. China's investment in Arctic infrastructure is aimed at securing these resources long before Canada can extract them. Recognizing the threat, Ottawa unveiled a bold new Arctic foreign policy in late 2024. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly has called the Arctic a dynamic security landscape that can no longer be ignored. Canada joined the Ice Pact with the US and Finland to build a new generation of icebreakers to match the Chinese fleet. But with only a handful of aging ships, Canada is racing to close a massive capability gap. The Nanisivik Naval Facility, delayed for a decade, is finally nearing completion to provide a refueling hub in the high north. Space-based surveillance is also being upgraded, giving Canada eyes where it lacks physical boots on the ground. Amidst this geopolitical chess game, we must not forget the Inuit. For them, sovereignty isn't a policy, it's their birthright. Their traditional knowledge of the land and ice is Canada's most powerful and often most neglected defense. What happens in the Canadian Arctic will set a precedent for maritime law and sovereignty across the entire planet. The quiet encroachment is a wake-up call. Canada must choose, be a leader in the north or a bystander in its own territory. The ice is melting and the world is watching. The time to act is now. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. For more history and geopolitics, subscribe to The History Girl. See you in the next one.